Good afternoon, my friends. Thank you for joining us in Kardec After Lunch, hosted by Kardec Radio. Uh, the usual announcements, feel free to download the app and listen to Kardec Radio programs and podcasts. Also, feel free to send questions to Kardec Radio's Twitter account. And remember that all of this work is done by volunteers, but there are costs associated with web and app hosting, along with broadcast and publishing. So if you're able to, please be kind and donate so this work of love may continue for many years to come. God bless. We going to be doing today what we had didn't have the opportunity to do in the past week or two, I believe, and I apologize for that. We had other engagements that preclude our ability to continue with the live programming. Hello, Vanessa. Thanks for joining us. So while we do this is one effort, part of spiritismstudy.org, and we do this reading and commentary of one of Kardec's works, in this case, the Medium's book, so we can perhaps awaken for the idea that we're not spiritists only and exclusively at the Spiritist Center Society. We are spiritists, or we should try to be, all the time, right? And we benefit from putting this knowledge that we're trying to acquire from theory into practice during our dealings with our brothers and sisters, be them in our family or out and about, unknown. Up until this moment, they're unknown to us out there in the world, or our co-workers at our place of work. So that's one of the reasons I do this during the day, and ideally, I really like to do it during lunchtime, so it will be perhaps easier for you to dedicate just those 15 minutes of your time during your lunch break to listening or interacting with us in a way that you can not just be exposed to this knowledge, but hopefully soon after your break is over, perhaps you'll be able to really reorient your thoughts, your words, and your actions to fall in line with what God intended us to behave among ourselves and, of course, towards our own spirit. So thank you. Thank you for your support, and thank you for interacting. So let's start. If you happen to have this edition of the Medium's book, I would like to ask you to open it up on page number 116. We're at the very end of chapter 4. We are reading about the explanation of the physical manifestations. So it goes like this. One remarkable phenomenon, of which we have had many similar examples, could only be explained by a similar cause. It involves a young and delicate lady who, by using only 2 fingers and as easily as she would a feather, can lift a strong and healthy man along with the chair upon which he is sitting. The intermittent expression of the faculty in this type of phenomenon proves that its cause is foreign to the person who possesses it. So, hi, Ippolito Rebolo, thank you for joining us. We reached the end of the chapter where Kardec tries to expound upon the idea of how the physical manifestations take place, and how not only he expounds on how it takes place, but also the erroneous ideas or theories they will put forth, try to explain how it could take place. So, and now remembering that this was written in the middle of the 19th century, where physical manifestations by providential design were more commonplace. They were taking place many, many locations throughout the world. And it was very usual, or very perhaps easily replicated. Now, the necessity perhaps of having the physical manifestations take place, it was in the beginning in order to incite our curiosity. But nowadays, since it has been explained why it was so, and the necessity of the physical manifestation is no longer as strong, if I can put it this way. And we have selected or for study the intelligent manifestations, right? So the communication with the spiritual world, where we can derive intelligent communications, and from those communications we can utilize or improve our sense of judgment and reason, and try to discern what is good, what is not good. I'll not say bad. This is what is good and that we can benefit from it, and what we just put it aside, perhaps. Right? So we are starting chapter 5. So chapter 5, it's about the spontaneous physical manifestations. Noises, rackets, and disturbances, the hurling of objects, the phenomenon of apportation, and a spirit's dissertation on apportation. So, starting with noises, racket, and disturbances. Number 82. Oh, hello, Alain. I know, Alain. Thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it. Miss you and hope to see you soon. Also, send my regards to Julian. So, number 82. The phenomena we have just dealt with are usually artificially produced. However, they sometimes occur spontaneously, without the participant's will, and in fact, they almost always become quite untimely. Furthermore, what excludes them from the notion that they are the effects of an imagination that has become overexcited by spiritist ideas is that they occur among persons who have never even heard of Spiritism, and at times when they are least expected. Yeah, thank you, Mai, for joining us. Love you, my wife. This phenomena, which may be regarded as involving natural spiritist practice, are very important because they exclude any suspicions of contrivance. So the idea is, as untimely as they are and unexpected, how can they be judged or suspected of being manipulated or fraudulent, right? Especially if it happens against the will of the participants. But continuing, this is why we have recommended to individuals who concern themselves with spirit phenomena that they gather all the data of this type, which they may become aware of, but especially that they carefully determine their reality through a detailed study of the circumstances, so that they may assure themselves that they are not the objects of a simple illusion or hoax. Hi, Tommy. Thanks for joining. Number 83. Of all the spirit manifestations, the simplest and most frequent are noises and raps. However, it is especially in these cases that we must be on guard against illusion, since there are many natural causes that can produce them. The wind whistling or banging an object, or own moving of an object without our awareness of it, an acoustic effect, a hidden animal, an insect, etc. Even off-color pranks. Now, however, let me put it this way. It is unlikely that in one of those events, aside from the last one, causes, could produce or provoke an intelligent effect, right? because there will be, so imagine that one of those things, let me repeat it, the wind whistling or banging an object, us moving an object without awareness of it, an acoustic effect, a hidden animal, an insect. How can any of those produce, and let's put it this way, a prolonged and intelligent message, right? Because when we first started using those raps, those knocks, those as a means of communication, it was decided upon a system that could derive intelligence from it. So, for example, one knock for yes, two knocks for no, and also a certain number of knocks to designate letters of the alphabet and forming words and sentences and so forth. Now, to be able to produce, let's say, an intelligent, like a whole sentence by pure chance, it's unlikely. However, as the last cause that I mentioned, an off-color prank could very well be produced, right? But let's continue. Besides, spirit noises have peculiar characteristics with variable intensity and tone, and which makes them easy to recognize, and not to be confused with creaking wood, crackling fire, or the dull tick-tock of a clock. The raps are dry, sometimes muffled, weak and light, sometimes loud and distinct, even noisy, and they change places and repeat themselves without any mechanical regularity. The most effective means of controlling them, which leaves no doubt as to their origin, is to subject them to our will. If the noises make themselves heard, whatever we so indicate, if they respond to our thought by repeating themselves the number of times we request, and if they increase or decrease their intensity, we cannot deny that there is an intelligent cause present. Nevertheless, the lack of such a response does not necessarily prove the contrary. So, of course, if someone was also playing a hoax or a prank, they could as well replicate some of those requests. Perhaps not all of them, but also the the negation of this, the answering of those requests, as he says, does not necessarily prove that it is a fraudulent activity. Continuing, number 84. However, if after a detailed examination we accept the fact that the noises or any other effect are real manifestations, will it then be reasonable for us to be afraid of them? Assuredly not, since these cases pose no danger. Only persons who believe that the devil is involved can be affected adversely by them, like children who fear werewolves and boogeymen. Under certain circumstances, we must agree, these manifestations take on very disagreeable proportions and persistence. Therefore, those who experience them naturally desire to get rid of them. Consequently, an explanation regarding the matter is required. And that's where we continue. Sorry, Nina is here. Nina is our cat. Number 85. We have already stated that physical manifestations are meant to call our attention to something, as I mentioned before, and to convince us that there is a superhuman power present. We have also stated that highly evolved spirits do not concern themselves directly with these manifestations, and that they use less evolved spirits to produce them. Now, let me explain this, how this works. For example, and perhaps Tommy could relate to this analogy. Tommy, who's an engineer, decides to build something. Is he going to build it himself if he's not suitable or prepared for such work? No. He will design such a building or a structure and give those plans to be executed by someone else, right? In the same way, if spirits who are in charge of intelligent manifestations need others to act upon matter and thus effect such a communication, they will use less evolved spirits or spirits more appropriate to that effect. And I actually going past our 15 minutes limit, so I apologize for that. I have marked where we're gonna continue from next week, and I'd like to thank each and every one of you, Vanessa, Hipólito, Alan, my wife Mai, and Tommy, for joining us and supporting us. And I hope to see you again next week. God bless. Godspeed to all.